Oh. All right, welcome to Jayla in the Morning. I am Josh.
And I am Layla, and this is Jayla.
Right, together our names make it. Just like Brangelina or Benifer. But this first show, we're going to talk about otherness. And when we talk about otherness, it can, attract us to each other. It can also repel.
And I was hoping to start with just a simple word of appreciation. One of the things that I really appreciate about Josh is his willingness to share when something I do makes him uncomfortable.
Right. You've always been pretty good at sharing when something I do makes you uncomfortable too. So
don't be afraid.
Sometimes, we'll, get hurt or get triggered. Maybe a trauma in the past will spring forth, because as we've learned in therapy, that 70% of what makes us upset in the present was in the past, and it might
Even
be
90%.
Maybe 90%, and then only 10% is right now, which triggered all the other stuff that made us who we are and made us defend the way that we defend.
So we're going to jump right in to give you some practical examples of what our otherness looked like rubbing into each other. And maybe I'm hoping that some of these examples resonate with you. And we're going to share a little bit of how we navigated successfully with our looking at life with a difference of perspective, right? You are you. He or she is he or she. They're different. And it's okay to be different and other, but how do you navigate that so that you can stay in harmony with each other? So some of the examples that I wanted to highlight today.
Yeah, we're going to start with the attraction examples first.
Well, I was just going to talk about the dishwasher, our driving types, and...
So those are the repels.
Not necessarily.
Because I think we should start with the good stuff, because that's how it goes in relationship, right?
I didn't know my bacon cooking style was repelling you, Mr. Rule.
Well, I didn't write that down, you did.
Well, part of the reason to give some examples is to understand how to use a trigger point to be introduced as an opportunity for healing.
Sure, yeah.
Right. Did I get that right?
Yeah, the triggers don't come until you're actually married. So I think at the beginning, you look at the other person and you see something that they have that you don't.
Right.
Like Layla is a great public speaker. And
thank you.
Yeah, she's also very beautiful.
Ooh.
And what guy doesn't want a beautiful woman in his life?
Oh.
Right? So those are just a couple of the examples of things that attracted me to you. You were very kind and very, very thoughtful with your listening. Like you asked me questions that proved that you really wanted to get to know who I was.
Yeah.
That really attracted me to you. Your otherness was stuff that I didn't have and I didn't experience. It was things that made you that drew me in to want to get to know you more, to want you in my life. And of course, at the beginning, right, when we got that feeling of excitement over the new relationship,
In a sense of like curiosity, like who is this person? What makes them them?
Yeah, so where I was going was just that the excitement covers over any negatives, right? Anything that's not the same as me that you did.
Right, it was easy to look past.
I didn't even really see. We weren't living together.
Right.
We were just enjoying all the good parts of our otherness.
And the newness
of
it. Yeah. Just exploring like little kids on the playground.
Right. Did you have things that were like different from you that I did that attracted you to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Things that were different about you that attracted, I like that he played the piano. I thought that was kind of cool. I also appreciated the fact that he just would streamline things. Like he would just get really focused on one thing and, not stop until that task was completed.
And the commitment that I had to it, I think you mentioned that before, like if it, like whether it was raining or not, we were doing whatever it is that we committed to.
Yeah, sense of determination, but also commitment to integrity. You know, what he said, you know, if we had come to an agreement we were going to do something or fulfill something, come hell or high water, we did it.
Right.
We still do that.
Yeah. Yeah, so after we got married, then some of those things that were different started to maybe annoy us or trigger our trauma.
And the understanding that the difference was upping the commitment. You know, we started to experience hints of something called the power struggle when we got engaged. So we had this level of commitment, right? Like Josh asked me to marry him in front of a whole slew of my friends and family, right? And then this word gets out and it's all this shiny excitement around engagement. But internally, it's, oh crap, how are we going to navigate finances? And how are we going to navigate communicating when I'm used to doing things my way?
Sure.
And he had his own methods.
Right, like I'm a spreadsheet guy and you're a calendar person. Right. So you had all your finances there and
color coordinated,
did
dated a certain way.
Right, you did auto pay with most of them, whereas I like to pay the bills when I got paid. And yeah, so we kind of like had to mesh those two methods so that we could, you know, function together. But
what a great example of otherness, right? I had what worked for me and he had what worked for him, but we had a high level of commitment to doing life together. And then it's kind of like, oh, how do we move forward together on the same page, even though you're used to doing it your way or a way, and I'm used to doing it my other way.
Right, yeah. I heard it on a show called Psych. It says, I've heard it both ways, your way and the right way.
All right, so finances, that's just one way.
So we're talking about repels, right? What started to rub us the wrong way when we got married?
Sure. I like to stay in the solution, but go ahead. Give some good examples of what repelled you.
Well, I noticed you put dishwasher up on the board. What was it about the dishwasher?
It's how you load the dishwasher. You know, there is a right way to load the dishwasher.
Well, when we were dating, I loaded the dishwasher probably the same way, and you didn't say anything about it then.
I find that hard to believe, but it's likely true. So today, I don't load the dishwasher anymore. I make the messes, and Josh cleans them up.
Yeah. So yeah, we got a good compromise there, where as long as she's feeding me, then I have the energy to do the dishes. One
thing to be said about the little areas that rub in our relationship, and I think you can, you know, kind of step back a bit to look at it through the eyes of maturity. With things as simple as the dishwasher, finances might have a little more gravity to it, is to step back and say, is the task being done? And to have some peace to let go of how it gets done. If there's any of you out there that are maybe like struggling around control or feeling safe in the relationship, is that truthfully, how the dishwasher is loaded doesn't matter. Does it get run is a bigger concern. And how that happens or how that comes about becomes less irritating when the need is met.
Right, that's a good point. That behind every frustration is a need. Dawn, I know you've got more to say on that. I'll let you take it.
Well, we've learned a lot from some amazing Imago therapists, Harville Hendricks and Helen Lakely Hunt, in a book called The Space Between. They have a framework for dialogue and conversation that helps me feel heard. I don't know if you other women out there have this underlying need to just be heard, not fixed or rescued. I know in my experience with Josh, in his masculinity, he loves to rush in and fix a problem, where sometimes I just have a need to truthfully be heard and not find a solution to what I might be complaining about.
Right. Like, whereas, I think it's a male thing where I'm like listening through, they're trying to read between the lines, like, what is the problem and how do I fix it? How do I stop the complaining, or whatever it might be.
And to circle back to, behind every frustration is a need. But when that need is met, the frustration goes away.
Right. And I love that too, like what you said, that the need often is just to be heard, right? Like Harville said in the book, that we don't have to fix it. We don't have to come up with a solution necessarily for that. Some things we do come up with solutions, but others, it's just hearing what you said. And there's a lot of good YouTube videos that Harville and Helen did on YouTube, where you can look more into imago therapy.
There's some really great imago therapists around the country that we highly recommend. We have one ourselves that we use here in South Carolina that has helped really save our marriage, but take it to a new level when we can understand where each other came from, so that we get a better handle or viewpoint on where we're going as a couple. Right,
because when, like you said, we understand where each other came from, it happens, as a healing moment for both of us. I might go back to, what it was in my childhood that made me react negatively to something that you did, or said to me, which, what you said was done in love, or, and then I took it the wrong way. And, if I go back to why I took it the wrong way, where it comes from, that 90% that's in the past, and I shared that with you, then, I cried it out. Right. And you heard me, you understood where I was coming from. You felt empathy for how I was feeling. And I think it's really changed, for that particular thing, it's really changed the way that we communicate.
I'm having an example come to mind, and maybe in another video we'll give you some more examples of the imago dialogue that are examples from our own life using that framework. An example that comes to mind is leaving the windshield wipers on.
That was a funny one.
When shutting the car off, right? It's a rainy day, and I like to make sure the windshield wipers are all the way off and all the way down before we get out of the car, whether it's raining or not.
Right.
And Josh's otherness.
Well, once the car turns off, the wipers turn off, and I don't think about the next time I turn on the car, because, I'm going to be inside the car, and I'll just change it to whatever the weather conditions are then. But I stopped the car when we were on a trip, with my method, and the windshield wiper was cocked halfway up.
And I couldn't function for the rest of the trip until
that night
it was corrected. Yeah. But what the willingness to hear each other and get curious about why that was that way for me was a game changer inside our marriage.
Right. Yeah. And I know you where you're coming from now, because I heard your story about the past.
So Josh got curious. He could see me getting like really kind of uncomfortable and like stressed out around it. And in my rational mind, I know this is stupid. Like, who cares whether windshield wipers are on or not? But he asked me a question. It was there more?
Was there more around that?
Was it?
No.
And it caused me to kind of have to pause and think, what was it? I'm hearing, Josh, as we're sharing with you, that 90% of our reaction to today can be in the past. If we see a pattern of a really strong reaction coming to 10% is what's actually happening in the present. I was having a really strong reaction, and when I was asked,
Yeah, was there more around that?
I had to pause and kind of scan my memory bank. And I remember how much trouble that I used to get in with my dad in the car in my family of origin. If anything was out of whack, and if we did as much as moved a mirror, that we would get in severe trouble for it. And there was just part of my mind that had a real groove of fear that was from the past. And anytime my husband, who's not my dad, would leave those on, it would start to trigger that old wound of fear that I was going to get severely beaten for something left on in the car that was not supposed to be on.
Yeah, so me hearing your heart on that gives me motivation to protect you by turning that stuff off before I turn off the car.
So he started, and since that time has met my need, and so that frustration can melt away, where for me to feel safe and to feel protected, it feels really good. So when we put the car in park and getting ready to get out on a rainy day, that he'll take a moment to shut off the windshield wipers, and it calms that source of pain for me, and it gives me an opportunity to heal from the wound from my dad.
Yes, so it's powerful, and it also, heals a thing in me. When I stretch into her need, it also heals me.
We can get more into that later too.
Yeah. I especially like, more recently where there was a situation where I had cut you off when you were trying to share something with me. But in the past, that particular trigger would cause you to start, pointing your frustration at me, and when that's one of my triggers, right? So it was like the cycle, right, of you're frustrated at me for triggering you by cutting you off, and then I get frustrated because you're frustrated at me, and I feel like I didn't do anything wrong, right? So I'm starting to defend myself. And then it just becomes this back and forth fight that erupts because one trigger leads to another trigger, and then we're both in our reptilian brains and not communicating with love and treating each other kindly. But what you did in that moment is you did not do that. You did not do the pattern. You interrupted the pattern. You owned your own feelings, and you just said that it made you feel sad, right? And you went off into another room and just stopped the conversation right then and there. So it gave me time to just really sit with it and think about the things that I did, how I could have been more curious. And what I did in that moment was I assumed I knew what you were going to say next. And I was like finishing your sentence. We got that misconception that, finishing each other's sentences is a good thing, right? That means that you really know each other, right? If you're finishing each other's sentences. And I tried to finish your sentence and answer before you actually even said what you were going to say. So I realized that I was wrong.
And I was feeling derailed by him trying to be intuitive and thoughtful. And I felt like I got steamrolled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it really brought healing to me in that moment that she didn't point the finger at me.
I owned my hurt and my pain and that.
Yeah. And it stopped my trauma trigger right in its tracks and allowed me to expect something different out of her and our communications. So I don't know, we both had a good cry. And
and some healing, came of it, and our ability to have a little bit more gentle communication when either one of us was feeling hurt or there was potential to hurt each other. Outside of our therapist's office is a sign that says talking is dangerous.
Yes, which it definitely is, because
without a framework of listening and kind of being a sender or a receiver of a message, without judging, without having the story in your own mind running, to pause that story, to be able to really hear what's going on inside the person, going back to getting curious.
Right.
So a big thing that this channel is are for tips, to encourage you to not just accept the person as other than you, but to go a little further, to quiet the story in your own mind so that you can listen to what's really going on and get curious about what's going on behind the person, so that you may have an opportunity to stretch into their need, and it may heal something in the other person. It may heal something in you by being willing to stretch into the need of the other person.
Right. And not to assume no matter how long you've known somebody, no matter how many conversations you've had, not to assume that you know what they're going to say next.
Right.
That
please don't ever do that to me again.
Yeah, I don't want to, because I understand, since
people change, right? People change. Our experience base changes. We have different things that happen inside the confines of a week.
Right.
And
even if you're saying something that sounds very familiar to something you've said before, there could be something deeper that I haven't heard.
Right.
And if I get curious and ask you, is there more around that? Then you can share that deeper thing that's on your mind that I never heard before.
And let me tell you this, when he gets curious, I feel like $1,000,000, and it actually leads to deeper intimacy. And for the men that are listening or watching, when you ask her that $1,000,000 question, is there more? And you don't try to assume you understand what she's about to say, it makes her feel so loved and valued, and it leads to better sex.
Oh, hallelujah. Didn't expect that bomb to drop.
Well, I went for the jugular because we've held your time for over 20 minutes now, and we just really want to help build greater intimacy. And it starts with conversation. Mm-hmm. And listening is a superpower for all of us. When we choose to listen to the other person, give them feedback to make sure that we heard what they were trying to tell us, not just the words that we're saying, but the spirit behind the words. It really adds depth, and it creates a better bond between us, because we get to know each other more, and we get to see each other more behind the skin, right? We get to see who their character is, what makes them them. And it really adds to a greater joy-filled connection, which we're hoping for all of you as you stay tuned, that you have hope inside the challenges that arise in marriage, that can start with something as simple as leaving the windshield wipers on.
Right. To embrace each other's differences.
Right.
Right. So otherness can attract, otherness can repel, but we want to keep that otherness attracting.
Yeah, and use it as a signal. Let the other person's differences be a signal to you to be a listener. Be a signal to you to take responsibility for your own feelings, share them, and see what type of connection may form. We can get into expectations a little bit later, but we just wanted to summarize the point of this video is it's okay to be other. Listening is a superpower. Accepting where the person is at. Pay attention to what repels you, but also allow yourself some willingness to stretch into the need of the other person, because it will mitigate that frustration.
Absolutely. Well said. And better sex.
It does. Let's be real. We all want it. We need it. It's healthy. And especially inside the confines of a committed marriage.
Yes.
Very important.
Right. Keep it in the marriage fireplace.
All right. So if you like this video, please make sure to check the like button, the thumb up, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, turn on those notifications, and please share with friends or loved ones that could use some encouragement inside their marriage. We look forward to giving you more tips with Jayla in the morning next time. Bye for now.